Okay, so we've gone through the process of downloading the app to your phone, setting the headset in developer mode, installing the different Oculus app and drivers onto your PC, and hopefully you've achieved the Quest 2 showing up in your File Explorer. Now what do you do in Unity? Alright, so let's go ahead and open Unity Hub. Be sure to have your headset and your link cable connected up to the PC. You should hear that little chime when things are all connected up properly. And again, check inside your headset to make sure that you've accepted that notification regarding the USB connection. Alright, so like I mentioned before, you should see this Quest 2 if you've done everything correctly. So now let's go into our VR application that we've been building, and if you've already kind of followed along in the tutorials for how to set up the VR headset, or how to set up the VR rig for your character so that your headset and controllers and everything are going to work, but you've been stuck on the how you actually deploy it, I'll walk you through really quickly what you should be looking for, just to kind of reiterate how the connection and everything should work. So we'll give this a second to load up. Bear with me here, this is an older computer, so sometimes loading the project file is a little slow. Maybe you're experiencing the same thing. So should load up here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while that loads up. Okay, so it's finally loaded up, and you can see here I have a little demo scene, and just for the interest of time, we'll try and be pretty quick about this. So notionally, you've set up your environment. Hopefully, you have you've added an XR rig with the camera and controllers and all that based on the tutorials I showed you. But there's a couple things we want to check. So first thing we want to do is check our package manager. So let's go Windows, Package Manager, and then go ahead and click on Unity Registry, and then you'll see it says refreshing packages and features. Just give that a second if it doesn't load up right away. You may have to hit refresh on this, and then let's go all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see XR Plugin Management and XR Interaction Toolkit. So right here you can see that it's installed. If you don't see this and it says install, go ahead and do that. Same thing with this Interaction Toolkit. It's saying here that it is installed, but that there's an update available. I'm going to skip the update for now. The other thing to keep in mind is when you go to install this Interaction Toolkit, you may also want to install the starter assets. So that's also another useful thing that you can go ahead and download, and it'll give you some examples of some of the XR interaction capabilities. But you definitely need these two packages installed at a minimum. So if you don't have those installed, definitely do that. Alright, let's leave the package manager, and now what we're going to do is we're going to come over to File, and we're going to come over to Build Settings. And what you're going to see in your build settings is if you do not have a VR compatible PC or laptop, we don't actually want to build in Windows, Mac, or Linux. If you do have a VR compatible laptop or PC, you can technically, I think, build using Windows, Mac, or Linux. I think it also gives you maybe an option if you want to do universal Windows platform. And then I forget the exact steps you might use if you wanted to use this. But generally speaking, I think you can just leave it on Windows, Mac, Linux if you have a VR compatible PC or laptop. If you don't, though, then what we're going to need to do first is we're going to need to switch to the Android platform. So right now this icon is indicating I'm set up on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And I really want to be on Android because we're going to build your application directly to the headset. So once your headset's connected to your PC, that's step one. But now we need to take our application and push it out to the headset, and that's what we're going to do here. So go ahead and hit switch platform. This will probably take a few minutes. It has to kind of go through and load a bunch of different things and make sure all of the different settings and stuff are set up specifically for deploying to Android. So let's give that a second here. Hopefully that'll finish up pretty quickly. Alright, so it looks like it's doing some background tasks. So while it does that, though, we can keep going. So you can see now the little Unity symbol is now on Android, so that means that we are in fact set up to build to the headset. The next thing we want to do is just check on a few player settings first. So click on player settings. That's going to open up this different pop-up window. And just give it a second here. Alright, perfect. And now what we need to do is we need to check on sort of our build settings when it comes to the XR plugin packages that we downloaded. So go ahead and click on XR plugin management, and the first thing we want to do, whether you're using again a VR PC or a non-VR PC, we're going to want to make sure that our Android tab is selected and that we select the Oculus functionality. By default, sometimes you may see OpenXR selected, which will disable some of these. Uncheck this if that's checked, and then just check the Oculus box. Same thing over here on the PC. Sometimes you'll see it defaulted to OpenXR. We're not using that for this class. So go ahead and check the Oculus button. So once you have the PC set to Oculus and the Android set to Oculus, you should pretty much have covered the bases regardless of what type of computer you have, unless you have a Mac, and I think in the case of a Mac you also still do the same thing for Android and Mac over here. The next thing we want to do is check our Oculus settings. Should be set to multipass, should be optimized buffer and fixed foveated rendering, and then the last thing you want to check on is make sure that it's set to deploy to the Quest 2. You don't need to check the Quest Pro, just the Quest 2. The next thing we need to check is OpenXR, and what we want to make sure that we have selected is single pass instant multi-view. We want the Oculus Touch controller profile, and in order to make sure that this is the correct profile it uses, go ahead and make sure you select the MetaQuest support, and that interaction profile should be set up appropriately. If for some reason you don't see that, you can hit this little plus symbol, and it should give you the different options, and you'll want to pick the Quest Touch profile. If you somehow have access to a Quest Pro, you can always pick that profile as well. But we're using the Quest Touch controller profile, so if that's missing from here for some reason, you should see it in this list. Alright, so that should be good. Next thing is project validation. You can check, again, the PC and the Android settings just to kind of make sure. If you see any errors in here, it'll give you options to fix those. So you can go ahead and hit fix if you see anything there, and it should correct any issues with the setup. And then last, you can check your XR Interaction Toolkit stuff. It should look pretty much like this. So as long as all of your settings look identical to this, you should be pretty much good to go. And then the last piece that we're going to do here is to configure this this set of settings over here. So it's clearly still doing some stuff in the back end to kind of update and configure my app, so it may prevent me from doing this at the moment. So let me pause the video for a second while this thinks and figures out what it's doing here. Okay, so the switch is finally done, and what you may notice is that down here in this sort of little notification console area, it says unauthorized device detected, an ID number, please add debug authorization and reconnect. What that's prompting you to do is to put on your headset, and when you're in your headset, you will see a menu that says allow USB debugging with a bunch of like RSA key information. Hit allow. Once you hit allow, that notification is no longer affecting you, and you can come into the settings here and you'll see this thing that says run device, and what we want to do is we want to click on that, and if you don't see your headset in there, go ahead and hit the refresh button, and once you've hit the refresh button, you should see the Oculus Quest show up. So once you've accepted that prompt inside the headset and hit the refresh button, you should see this device show up as one of your options. Go ahead and hit Oculus Quest. That sets it up, and then once you're ready, if you have everything in your environment and everything set up based on the tutorials that I've provided you, you can go ahead and hit build, or you can hit build and run. I would suggest hitting build and run the first time. What that will do is it will automatically build the application to your headset, and once it is done successfully building, will start the application inside your headset. I'll make a separate video for what that kind of looks like after you've run it for the very first time, but when you go to put on the headset after you see it successfully build, the application that you've built should be running already. You can go ahead and test it out and make sure it's working the way you expect, exit out of it, and then you can continue to make changes to your application, and each time you make a change you'll need to hit build and run or build to make those changes apply to the headset. Now, once you've built that application to your headset and you're done working on your application, if you want to test it without having the cable connected to your PC, you can do that. You can unplug the cable from your headset, and again, I'll make a separate video that shows kind of what that looks like. But once you've unplugged the headset and you put the headset back on, you can go into your app library the same as what you would do for any app you downloaded from the store, and you can actually find your app in that list and run the app again. So let's say you wanted to show it to a friend or a roommate or a significant other. You don't have to be tethered to your PC. You can in fact just unplug from the link cable and then run your application independently of the cable and PC. So hopefully again that gets you kind of up and running. If you do have issues, definitely email me or set up a Zoom, or plan to come a little bit early to class and find me in my office hours, and I'll be happy to try and help you out. All right, good luck.